he always says selling real estate is simple. It's just not easy. And I love that because it is. I mean, selling real estate is really just about talking to people, right? You can do all of the marketing and branding, which that stuff works, buying leads. But when you buy the lead, you have to talk to them. And then selling is not telling. It's always asking questions.
Welcome to a private conversation with me, Steve Robbins. I'm sitting down with some of the biggest names in Indianapolis real estate. I've enjoyed these conversations immensely, and I hope you will too. A big thank you to Executive GM Ian Soroyan and his whole team for hosting us at Cunningham Restaurant Group's Commission Row and Mel Speakeasy, located in downtown Indianapolis within the Pacer Sports and Entertainment Complex. Check out the show notes to learn more.
So you've been in real estate now for what, 8 years?
Going on 9. I actually got licensed at the end of 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I was part-time for the first 3 years.
Oh, I didn't remember that. So you and I maybe met a couple years ago.
Yeah, we met I think 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
probably about 3 now.
Probably was.
Yeah.
And I didn't remember though that you had started off part-time. What was that like? Because I talk to agents all the time about, and there's a lot of real estate agents that get into the business and start part-time, and they have this whole idea that they're going to turn it into full-time.
Yeah.
And that's really difficult because it's kind of one of those things, if you aren't all in, it might take 3 years and still a lot of focus and grind. What was that like, starting part-time?
Well, I got lucky when I went into full-time, but I started part-time. How I got started in real estate, one of my friends got his real estate license, and I used to box as well.
Okay.
When I got a little older. So it was one of my boxing teammates, and he said, "Hey, I'm having my first open house this weekend. Come to my open house." I said, "Sure, why not?" And it was over by me anyway. So I went to his open house. Well, he had a full-time job. This was just a part-time career for him. And while he was at his open house, one of the guys he worked with, who also was part-time real estate, he showed up. Well, his dad was the manager of the carpenter office, and he was with him. So when I was there, I remember he looked at me and he said, "Well, why aren't you in real estate?" I just looked at him. I don't know.
Hadn't thought about it.
So
what were you doing at the time?
I was working at a warehouse.
Okay.
I was working at Target Distribution, and for a warehouse, I thought I was making good money. I was making $50,000 a year. And I was working my butt off.
I bet.
And so we set up a meeting the next week, and I signed up for the class right away and took the class. And then I was actually, my warehouse schedule was Saturday, Sundays, and Monday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Wow.
And I worked a lot of overtime during the week, but during the week I started doing a little bit of real estate, but I didn't take it real seriously. I sold 2 homes a year my first 3 years.
That was it.
That was it. How I got lucky is in June of 2019, they called a meeting and said, "Hey, we're closing down in 6 months. If you stay till the end of the year, we'll give you a severance package," which is only like 2.5 months worth of pay.
At Target.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had left, in the meantime, I had left Target and went to Nestle.
Oh, okay.
Another warehouse job.
Yeah, okay.
And was there for 6 months. They said, "We're closing down in 6 months." So I stayed till the end. I had 2 months worth of pay, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to try real estate full time, and I have 2 months to get a paycheck, or I'm going to be getting a full-time job somewhere."
That's a short runway.
It
It
is.
usually takes a lot longer than 2 months.
It is.
So
it is.
what were those 2 months like? How much were you all in?
I was all in. I was in the office every day. Luckily, I got introduced to Mike Ferry my first month in, and signed up for coaching. And so I just started generating my own business. I started cold calling, and I got lucky. One of my past clients, which I didn't have many, right? I sold 2 homes a year, referred me to someone who needed to buy, and that was my first sale. And then he referred me to someone else, and so I got 2 sales right off the bat, and that kind of made me float to get started. When I ended up selling, I think it was 20 homes my first year, full time.
That's a great first year.
Yeah.
So, I know a little bit about the story with Mike Ferry, but it's definitely something I wanted to talk to you about because it's such an interesting story. But you're being personally coached by Mike Ferry, correct?
Not now, but I was, yeah.
Well, tell me about how you got with him and ended up becoming, coached personally by Mike Ferry.
Yeah. So I got introduced to the Mike Ferry organization like my second month in. They had a 2-day event where one of his speakers came, and
Okay.
I ended up signing up for coaching then. He has 2 different levels of coaching. He's got premier and one-on-one. I was in one-on-one, and then COVID happened, and then so one of the first events he had after COVID, Mike was actually leading it, and I had never met Mike in person yet.
But you'd been in the coaching program for
Yeah, I'd been in this coaching program for about a year and a half.
Okay.
About a year and a half, somewhere around there.
Okay.
This event was in Fort Lauderdale. Well, I was just kind of blown away. I was sitting there taking notes. Mike was speaking, and I just walked up to him at the break and said, "Hey, Mike, what do I have to do to get you to coach me?" And I remember he looked at me and was like, I'm not taking on any more clients right now. I'm too busy. I'm going to be in Italy for a month." And I said, "Okay." Well, after the break, he had mentioned on stage that something he was saying must be resonating with the audience because he had 2 people that he never met before come up and ask him to coach him. I didn't think anything of it. So at the next break, I was sitting there, and one of our regional managers, Tom Myers, was there with Natasha Johns, which I don't know if you know Natasha.
Know the name.
Huge agent in Bedford.
Yeah.
He had said something to me like, "Well, Natasha joined coaching. Guess who's going to coach her?" And I said, "Who?" And like, now I just hit at Mike. I said, "Huh." I asked Mike, and he told me no. Tom started busting out laughing. So, just being persistent, I went back up to Mike. I said, "Mike, what do I have to do to get you to coach me like you did, like you just agreed to Natasha?" I'll never forget. He looked at me almost like a dog when you hear a random noise. He kind of tilted his head to the side. I was like, "Who the hell are you?" So he told me, he said, "The first thing you need to do is go upgrade to Premiere." And I said, "Okay, done." And then he like almost tilted his head to the other side, like, what is wrong with you?" And he said, "Well, I can only do it for 4 to 6 months. I'm busy." So I said, "Okay." He said, "Go back there and tell Sabrina," which is his wife, "I'm going to coach you." And that was how we got started. Yeah.
And but you've continued to have this relationship with him over time. And, it's unusual. And for people that don't know, a lot of people know, almost everybody probably knows who Mike Ferry is, but almost everybody for sure knows who Tom Ferry is. And his son, who used to work with him and for him, has, grown to superstar status himself.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit more about your relationship with Mike and how it's really helped catapult you in your business.
He only coached me, I think, it ended up only being like 6 weeks personally.
Okay.
I was terrible. I was terrible. Let's put it that way. When you coach with Mike, it's a high level of coaching. And he did it for like 6 weeks and then said, "Hey, listen, you're not at the level that I can help you the best. You need to transfer over to this other coach." Well, ever since then, we've stayed in contact a lot. I go to a lot of his events, and was just in Vegas last week with him, and now it's turned into a friendship, a mentor, and like I've golfed with him several times, and lunch, dinner with him whenever I'm around. I think he just kind of looked at me as um, just a young, aggressive agent who wanted to be successful, and I think he likes that.
Yeah.
So now, yes, everybody knows Tom. He actually had Tom on stage last week.
Okay, cool.
He brought his whole family out.
That's awesome.
And completely different philosophies.
Yeah.
Of what they teach.
What do you think the differences are there for people that don't know?
Mike's more old school, just prospecting, and he doesn't do social media, and things like that.
And he just had his 80th birthday, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Last, I think his 80th birthday was in June.
Okay.
Yeah, and then last week he was celebrating his 50 years and his 50th year anniversary in the coaching business.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really kind of the godfather of real estate coaching.
Yeah, that's what they call him. That's what they call him. So.
I didn't even know they call him that. For that.
No, they do. They do. They call him that because he was actually the first one that started coaching, real estate coaching.
Gotcha.
And now you have I think there's like 8,000 different coaching programs out there now.
Well, what did you learn from Mike? And we'll go more into the coaching, beyond that.
Yeah.
What were the biggest takeaways from Mike?
Man, there's a lot. There's so many because I try to spend as much time with him as possible now because, let's be real, he's 80.
Right.
Been doing this for 50 years. How much longer can he keep doing this? He tells you he wants to do it till he's 100. So, but we'll see. He just is having cancer treatment now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, prostate cancer.
Gotcha.
It's supposedly minor, but so what I've learned from him, I guess a couple of key principles is he always says selling real estate is simple. It's just not easy. And I love that.
It's true.
Because it is. I mean, selling real estate is really just about talking to people, right? You can do all of the marketing and branding, which that stuff works. Buying leads, but when you buy the lead, you have to talk to them.
Yeah.
So, and then selling is not telling. It's always asking questions. You ever get a chance to talk to Mike? He doesn't really tell you anything. He asks you questions and leads you to the logical answer. He's the king of asking questions.
Right.
So, I mean, those are a couple things. He always says, show up, do your job, tell the truth, and don't be attached to the outcome. So, I mean, I could go on and on and on. Thinking big. I'm in his Think Big group, which they take a trip every year.
Okay.
This year it's in Paris, but we meet every Monday, and he just works on thinking big is really a process. It's not something that comes natural to people.
How has thinking big changed and being part of that group changed the way you think?
Well, it's when you're around Mike, I mean, he talks about complacency a lot, right? And people get complacent. Mike's 80 years old. He's made millions and millions and millions of dollars. And he's not complacent.
Right.
So it's expanding your thinking. Like once you get to a level, I think it goes to levels, right? You get to a level where you're like, I'm comfortable, I'm good. But there's so much more out there. There's so much more out there. And you don't always know that at first. You just gotta it's a thinking big is a trained mindset process.
How big are you thinking right now?
How big am I thinking? So my wife wants to move to Arizona.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, how can I do real estate in both?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where I'm at right now. And really, the sky is the limit. When you go to these real estate conferences, like I was just at,
Yeah.
You think you're doing well because you're in a smaller community here in Indy, and I'm not the most productive agent here. I mean, I'm nowhere near Mike Dick or Alan Williams. I mean, they are killing it.
They are.
Right. But I do more than most of the agents that are around me that I know in most of my office.
You're doing what last year? How much did you do in 2024?
I did 37 closed transactions.
Okay.
And that's another thing I've learned from Mike. I know a lot of people look at the volume. I think that was around 10 million volume, I think.
Okay.
Mike has always taught me and teaches us to focus on the transactions instead of the volume.
Yeah, and I get that.
Because we work on having a predictable and duplicatable business.
Yep.
So every year we can business plan and how many people we've talked to, how many deals we want to do, how many people in our database. We can kind of plan how many deals we're projected to do this year.
And what's 2025 look like for you right now?
So it's supposed to be 50, but I'm already at 32 closed and pending. So I'm looking to push that to about 55, 60, hopefully if I finish strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's looking pretty big.
It is, right? But you think that's pretty good, but then you go to these events, and I'm sitting, and I'm one of his premier clients, so I get a reserved front row seat at every event. And I always joke and say I'm the brokest person in the front row. I am. So
broke being relative.
Yeah, well, relative, yes. But I'm sitting next to Dan Mum in Vegas, who's taking 150 listings a year. He's making 1.7 million. Same with John Sullivan in Vegas. He does a little bit lower transactions, but higher volume.
Yeah.
Everybody in the front row is doing 100 transactions.
Yeah.
And making millions. So if you want to think big, start going to those events, and then
absolutely.
Yeah.
So are those the types of numbers that you would like to get to, or because everybody, you said that very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's a sacrifice to get there.
There is.
And what's that mean to you?
And honestly, I think I would get there quickly if I'm really involved in like my kids' life, the coaching.
Yeah.
That takes a lot.
Yes. How do you have time for it all?
I don't know. I get asked that all the time. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's just about time blocking and you make it work. And I get people asking all the time, do you ever sleep? And I'm like, yeah, not much, but but yeah, I would like to, my goal is to get to 100 transactions.
Okay.
100 transactions in 1 year. And, Mike says going from 0 to 50 is harder than going from 50 to 100.
I believe that.
So I'm crossing that threshold of 50 this year. So I'm hoping to get to 100 pretty soon. but I'm also, planning a move and entering a new market. And
So you're moving to Arizona. Is that what you mean by that?
yeah, that'll be my primary residence. I will still be here a lot, at
Okay.
least the first couple of years.
Where in Arizona?
Around Scottsdale.
Okay.
Yeah.
And doing real estate in both, essentially?
Yeah, at least for probably the first 2 years. I'll probably
Okay.
still do business here, and then I will eventually transition out of Indiana
Okay.
to where I'm just kind of referring stuff out then at that point.
When's this move happening?
Well, I think we're going to get a place out there next July.
Okay.
So that'll be when we, first get a place out there, but we're going to keep our place here, obviously. And then my goal was 2 years to be kind of done with real estate in Indiana and selling 50 to 100 homes in Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right now, with we're starting to have a place where you're crossing over that 50 transaction threshold. What kind of support do you have? What kind of help?
Just one assistant.
Okay.
And that's all I really need. Now she is licensed, so that makes a big difference because she can show homes for me. She does everything. She's great.
I bet.
Yeah,
You need someone who's great.
Yeah, I think last week when I was in Vegas, she showed like 4 or 5 homes. And even yesterday, or not yesterday, but the day before, she was showing a couple homes. And she does all my transaction, all the paperwork. I take a listing, I hand her the listing contract, and she completes the MLS, and then I check it and before it goes live. And
There's a lot of agents looking for someone like that who's licensed and you can trust and is great. How'd you get lucky and find her?
It was one of the luckiest moments of my real estate career.
Really?
Yeah. So I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. It was a Saturday, middle of the afternoon. I was taking a nap, and one of my good friends called me, and I'd seen it. I was kind of waking up, and I answered it. It was like, "Hey, Rob, how's it going?" I said, "Hey, I have this agent on the line who called me on three-way."
Wow.
I was not prepared. I was taking a nap. And she was with a different company at the time, but didn't really have any support. Didn't have any training or whatnot. And at this time, I was considering building a team. So I said, "Yeah, let's meet." So we ended up meeting like the next week, and she was just looking for some more support. And
Right.
so she joined my team as an agent. Well, she the first year I think she sold 5 or 6 homes, and then that was kind of when I started coaching with Mike, and I had 4 agents working with me, and Mike was kind of like, "What are you doing?" Mike's not big on the big teams.
Right.
He was like, "What are you doing? You're selling 20 homes a year. Why are you building this big team?" So she wasn't selling a whole lot after that, but she liked doing. I just had the idea to make her a transaction coordinator. That's how it started.
Okay.
So she became a transaction coordinator, and now she's a, an hourly assistant.
What's her name?
Nikki Robinson.
Okay.
Yeah, and she went into referral for a little while, and now she just came back out of referral, and yeah, she'll sell a couple homes a year, but I think it's big for me. Like I pay her to go show homes for me when I can't make it.
Right.
So
going back to the beginning of real estate for you. So when you were doing it part-time, I think it's really important because there's so many people that start part-time.
yeah.
You said you kind of had this situation happen where you got some severance pay and it gave you a short runway. But
Yeah.
were you thinking about going full-time? Was part-time sticking in your head the whole time?
No, I would have liked to go full time. I don't think I would have ever made the jump. I was walking away at this time. I had 2 kids.
Right.
Those weren't near what they are now, but walking away from 50,000 a year,
Right.
It's
hard.
a guaranteed paycheck.
Yes.
So I think that was, like I said, Nikki was one of my luckiest moments. I think that was actually my biggest lucky moment.
Yeah.
Because I probably wouldn't have made it full time. The goal was actually, put it this way, the goal was actually to go full time when I first got my license. After my first deal, I was like, "Yeah, I want to do this full time." That was 3 years in the making, and I wasn't selling more than 2 homes a year. So
And that's the tough part. When you're doing it part-time, it's tough to make that huge transition into full-time without some kind of runway that you were given.
Yeah.
Are you well, what advice, I guess, would you have for someone who's younger getting into real estate that is considering whether then there is those exact same shoes
Mm-hmm.
of trying to bridge the gap between walking away from a 40, 50, 60, $80,000 position where they can make six figures in real estate.
Yeah.
But, what advice do you have for someone like that?
Well, another thing I've learned from Mike, we're independent contractors, which is the biggest blessing and the biggest curse in our industry. That's why I think it was like 71% of agents last year in the nation didn't sell a home.
Right.
You have to treat your business like a real job. So I'm very structured. Like I'm in the office every day at 7:30 a.m.
Every day at 7:30.
Every day at 7:30, which is hard sometimes. But if you treat it like a real job, I mean, and I'm in the office every day at 7:30, and I'm role playing from 7:30 to 8, working on my skills, and then I'm prospecting from 8 to 10 every day, talking to new people every day, finding new business. That's really the quickest way to get started, in my opinion.
So you're in the office at 7:30, and this is the way your day normally works. First half hour, skill practice, role playing, etc. And then from 8 to 10, you're prospecting.
Yeah, 8 to 10, I'm prospecting. Sometimes 8 to 11. Just depends on, between 10 and 11, I kind of I'll return some calls, take a little bit of a break. My assistant comes in at 11, so from 11 to 11:30, I'm usually meeting with her, going over any files, any questions she has. Then I go to lunch from 12 to 1.
Okay.
And then after 1, it's preparing for appointments, and the afternoon is appointment time.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's extremely structured. Most agents, of course, are not anywhere near that structured.
Yeah.
They're not having the results either. Prospecting to me, the lifeblood of the business. Most agents aren't doing it with any structure whatsoever. What does 8 to 10 or 8 to 11 prospecting actually look like for you?
So I usually start with expireds first.
Okay.
This is the first group of people I call. So any new expireds, I'm calling them. And then I'll work into for sale by owners.
Okay.
Which are coming back.
Yep.
Big time, because what's happening is for sale by owners aren't selling. Right? During COVID, for sale by owners were tough.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, anybody and their brother could put a for sale sign in the front yard and have 3 offers. They had no idea what they were doing.
Right.
But why did they need us?
Yes.
So usually expired for sale by owners, and then I'll move on to, then I usually after that I move on to lead follow-up, which I don't consider as new contacts, but, there's no point of doing a bunch of prospecting if you're not going to do the lead follow-up. And then I can move into either database, or sometimes I'll do just listed, just sold around my listings.
Okay. And those are all calls?
Yeah.
How people aren't answering the phone the way they used to. How has that affected the way you go about prospecting?
I make about eight contacts an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's about what I average. Now 8 contacts, that's people, a homeowner answering the phone. Even if they tell me and say, "Hey, is this the owner of 123 Banana Street?" Yes, who's this? Well, this is Zach Purdy. Never call me again. Click.
Right.
I count that as a
That
contact.
counts.
Yeah. So it's probably over 100 calls easily in those 2 hours.
If 8 answer in an hour, how many of those 8 you're actually having what I might call an actual real estate conversation?
Yeah. It really depends, because it's funny, and I think if you're going to start prospecting, you have to think of the long term. You got to be consistent.
Yep.
Because there will be 2 or 3 days in a row where I call and I get hung up on, cussed out over and over and over again. Well, then the 3rd or 4th day, the first 3 people I talk to are legitimate leads.
Right.
Right. So it's a numbers game. You have to be consistent. What I can tell you, about every 40 people I talk to, I get a listing appointment, and about every 53 people I talk to, I take a listing.
53?
Yeah. That's where I'm at.
1 out of 40 is a listing appointment, 1 out of 53. That's okay.
Yeah. Because, I mean, obviously you don't get every listing you go on.
For sure.
I average about 78% of listing appointments I go on to listings taken.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
How have you mixed, as technology is evolving, how have you mixed in texting or any other method of communication?
We do a little bit more texting. A lot of clients just love texting.
Right.
I'd rather just pick up the phone.
Yeah.
I'm a younger guy, but I'm really old school when it comes to technology. I'm not tech savvy at all. Anytime something breaks in the house, my wife has to fix it. If it's something techie, the Wi-Fi went out the other day. I'm like, what? I don't know what's going on. You got to fix this. So,
well, it's those soft skills, those people skills, the old school skills that are really coming back. because the tech and AI, we can talk about AI a little bit. I don't know how
Yeah.
you're using it, but what's going to be more important than ever are those soft people skills.
Yeah.
And you've got those.
Mike just said last week, one of his points was the basics of selling real estate for top producers never change, regardless of technology.
Yeah.
So there's still that lack of people. People still want to have a face-to-face conversation. They may not tell you they want to, but they do.
You know your numbers.
Yeah.
You're tracking those 1 out of 40, 1 out of 53. You know what's your process for tracking?
So in the Mike Ferry coaching, we have a numbers analyzer.
Okay.
So every day, usually every morning, I do it the day after. Every morning, I'll go in, I'll put my numbers in the day before. So how many hours I prospect. When I'm prospecting, I have a sheet and I'm checking off when I'm prospecting. But then I put it in the computer the next morning. So uh, how many hours I prospected, how many contacts I made, and then any updates to any contracts, listing appointments going on or buyer appointments going on.
Yeah.
And then it computes all that for you. You just put it in there, you log it every day, and then you can pull up your reports. That's how I know.
Have you thought about being a coach before?
So I think I told you I went to Vegas twice this month.
You did, yeah.
So 2 weeks ago, Mike and Sabrina actually reached out to me, and I flew out to Vegas just to meet with them for 2 days about potentially becoming a coach for them.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not coaching with them yet, but that was really the first time I thought about it. So
what if you were coaching someone, where do you think you would start with someone who's newer in the business and is maybe where you were when you were doing 2 homes a year?
Well, you got to start with trying to get them to understand that, yes, you're an independent contractor, but you got to treat your business like a real job. So if you really want to break through, set a schedule that works for you and that's based on your goals. You can't follow a schedule of 100 deal a year producer.
Right.
Right. So like those front row, they all think my schedule's strict. Their schedule is like, but you can't follow that. You have to set a goal. How much someone brand new, you need to figure out how much income they need to survive. So there's a money exercise that we do. And that'll tell you how many deals we need to get going. And then we got to work on a plan to get those deals. So
just that simple.
Selling real estate is simple. It's just not easy.
Exactly. I mean, I definitely.
That's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite sayings because it's so true when you really think about it. Yeah.
Oh, I definitely agree. Anybody can do the schedule you're doing.
Yeah,
it's how many people are actually gonna do it.
Yeah, and you have to. There's times when I don't want to do it, and that's why you set up some accountability. And I got some pretty tough accountability. Now, if I don't,
how's that?
I have to make a minimum of 10 contacts a day.
Per yourself or per coach?
Per me. I got to talk to 10 new people a day, not including follow-up. All right, a minimum. That's the minimum. If I don't have an accountability partner, I got to send $1,000 check for every contact a day I'm short. So if I want to talk to 5 new people, I'm supposed to send them $5,000 that day. If I talk to 9 people, I'm supposed to send them $1,000 that day, and it's per day.
Holy shit!
Yeah, and then I have my weekly coaching call. Every Tuesday, and he's looking at my numbers analyzer and I was like, well, what happened? You said you were going to make a minimum of 10 contacts a day. You only made 7 on Tuesday. What happened? Well, that's not fun.
Right.
So
how often are you not getting the 10?
I make sure I get the 10.
Well, 10's not easy to do. So tell me, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You're at 6. What happens?
So in the Mike Ferry organization, a contact is anybody new or anybody in your database.
Okay.
Your database counts. So a lot of times if I get to the afternoon, I call someone in my database, and with your database, you can leave a message, but your database has to be someone they know you, they like you, they trust you.
Okay. It's a touch at that point.
Yeah.
Like if you get to that point, you can.
So I can. To be completely honest, there's times where it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I need like 2 more contacts. I'm calling 2 people in my database on the golf course, which I just did Monday.
Right.
And then I'm hoping they don't answer so I can leave a voicemail. Then they answer. Now I'm in a 10-minute conversation, which is fine. But there's times, yeah.
But that's great. I mean, some people think that having, 15 or 20 new contacts in a week.
Yeah.
Or contacts in a week is a stretch, and they can't figure that out.
Well, 10 is really low. Like if you like again, the front row people, they're making 25 to 30 a day. And I used to make 25 a day.
Really?
Yeah, what happened is, one of my biggest sources of business right now is agent referrals. So
From other markets.
From other markets. I think I closed 18 last year from agent referrals, and I'm already at 13 this year.
And most of that you would attribute to the contacts you made through Mike and the coaching?
Yeah, so when we go to these events, I'm exchanging business cards, meeting new agents, and then I put them in my database. No, I don't call those. I don't. That's different. I don't call them.
Okay.
So, but you meet them, and then I go to anywhere from 4 to 6 events a year. So I'm seeing a lot of the same faces every like 4 or 5 times a year, and then I'm meeting new people. So, for instance, my last listing was just from an MFO agent in MFO, Mike Ferry organization, in Boca Raton. Called me and it was a mile from my office, and she was like, "Hey, I have a seller. She's friends with the seller's son."
Okay.
And she referred me and I listed their home, and they're under contract now. So honestly, like my coaching is free.
Right.
Like, and I know coaching is a big expense.
It's more than paying for it.
I can't afford not to be in coaching anymore.
Right. Exactly.
So.
What do you think about? So, one of the most remarkable things about your story is that we're well into year 3 here of this being essentially the lowest volume of sales in residential real estate.
Yeah.
New home sales have been up and down a little bit, but with the overall market nationally selling, only around 4 million and maybe even a little less homes a year, we're bouncing around the bottom of what real estate can provide. At the same time that's happening, you've steadily gone from 20 transactions in a year to maybe north of 50 with a goal of 100. A lot of people can't get past the market being frustrating. How do you put that out of your mind? And
well, another thing Mike always says is, the market and the economy have no effect on your production. So, if you're showing up like I am, you're talking to new people every day, no matter what the market's doing, there's still people that die, people that get married, people that get divorced, people that have babies and need bigger homes, older people needing to downsize. There's always people selling, right? And if you think about it, 4 million transactions, and I'm trying to do 50. I'm trying to do 0.0000001% of the amount of transactions that are happening.
yeah.
So, you just got to keep doing. You just got to keep doing what you're doing, and that's why a lot of the agents that are in the Mike Ferry organization have their best years and down years, right? And we spend a lot of time working on our sales skills. So price reductions right now, I think I've had 14 price reductions this year. Which there's a lot of agents that put a house on the market. They have no idea how to talk to a seller about their price, or regardless of that. I mean, if it takes 2 or 3 months to sell a home, they have no idea how to talk to a seller for 2 to 3 months.
How are you setting expectations right now differently than what you were in the past because of how the market shifted?
Yeah, well, we put an emphasis on pricing right from the jump with the seller, and still sellers want to start high. So then I usually put an emphasis on price reduction. I tell them, hey, almost over 50% of homes right now requiring at least one price reduction before they sell a home. Did you know that?
You're telling people that up front.
Yeah. We really hammer that down at the listing presentation.
Okay.
And then I send a weekly email to all of my sellers every Friday, update, and in that email it's going to tell you what I've done this week to try to sell your home. Here's the amount of showings. Here's all the feedback we've had from those showings. This is any new competition you've had. So when you're communicating with your sellers and they know that you're trying to sell their home, it makes getting a price reduction easier because then if you see everything I'm doing every week, because a lot of agents will put on the MLS and they'll never contact their seller again.
What are you doing differently for a seller than most agents?
Well, I mean, marketing wise, I'm doing a lot of what everybody else is doing.
Sure.
But we so I just missed out on a listing the other day where he wanted to go with another agent. Perfectly fine. He went 20,000 over list price and it was only a $200,000 home. And the guy, you can look this home up on the MLS now. He took pictures with a cell phone. And you can see him in one of the pictures in the bathroom. I'm just like,
he went with the real pro.
He went with the real pro. So, professional photographer, video, drone photos, twilight photos, floor plans. Floor plans are big. My photographer does floor plans, which, I've heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard that's like the number one thing consumers are asking for now is a floor plan. Then we'll do just listed postcards, but then I personally will talk to a lot of the neighbors around my listing, like I said, and see, who do they know that may be looking to move into the area. So that's one thing I'm doing. I don't do a whole lot of open houses. I do some, but Nikki does more than I do. Just because I'm working really hard talking to people and actively trying to sell their home throughout the week. And then, so marketing wise, nothing, there's no magic formula, right? It's really pricing it right, getting in front of a lot of people, getting as many eyes on it. And then if that's not selling, it's usually either price or condition or both.
Yeah. And how are you handling those difficult conversations? People are maybe, you said 14 price reductions. Maybe 30 days in, maybe 20 days. It depends on the seller, but they're starting to get antsy. They're leaving you messages or calling you. What?
I think setting the expectation up front is key.
Yes.
Right. Because, you meet with sellers now and they still think it's COVID.
Right.
Like the general public, some people have no idea what's going on in the market.
Yep.
So if you list their home and it doesn't sell within an hour, they're like, what's going on sometimes. So setting the expectation up front is huge. And in doing that, I don't get a lot of pushback when it comes to price reductions.
Okay.
Because I really hammer it down at the listing presentation, and then like I said, I'm sending a weekly email. I used to call them every week, but then I realized I used to ask them actually, would you prefer a call, text, or email? Well, one of them said email, and I sent them the email, and I seen she opened it like 15 times throughout the week. So I said, they're seeing this email over and over and over again. It's embedded in their brain every day. Where versus if I just call them, they're only hearing it one time. So now I just strictly email it to them, and you'd be surprised how many times. Sellers love that.
And what's in the email?
Well, like I said, it'll be what I've done this week to sell your home. Here's the amount of showings we've had. Here's all the feedback from our showings. This is where we're at. I usually put the Zillow views and saves on there. Here's any competition. Here's anything new that's going on in the market. I usually do that every Friday.
That's great.
And then, I think one thing that also helps is I turn down business.
Okay.
So I'll go on a listing presentation, and if we're not seeing eye to eye, if they want to start, if they're just not motivated, because I think motivation is key. You really got to dig down on their motivation. Because if a seller just says, "Well, I just want to put it on the market and see if I get this price," well, I'm not gonna waste my time anymore. I would have in the past, but
when did you draw that line? And how did you get there? You
think
just got busy enough?
Yeah, I think getting busy enough helps, obviously, right? So don't be attached to the outcome. The best way to not be attached to the outcome is have more outcomes.
Yeah.
So getting busier, but I think once the market shifted, that became key.
Yeah.
Because, we see how many expireds we're getting now. We didn't used to get any expireds.
Right.
So if they're not motivated, the home's not going to sell. You're just wasting your time. And I would rather spend that time I'm going to waste on a non-motivated seller who doesn't really have to sell, finding new business.
Yep.
And finding them motivated. So
I talk all the time to agents about the most advanced skill in this business is knowing when to cut bait.
Yeah.
I mean, you're cutting bait before you even
there's times
start it, which is even better. And there's a lot of agents that just couldn't walk away from the possibility,
Yeah.
but the opportunity cost, if they're actually going to do the work.
Yeah. It's a mindset shift for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you're not selling a lot of homes and you're starving for a paycheck, it's going to be way harder. You have a seller in front of you ready to sign a listing contract to walk away from it, even though you know it's not going to sell. I mean, because if you're way overpriced right now, it's not going to sell.
What's your listing presentation like?
I use the Mike Ferry listing presentation. There's a script for it, and it works like a charm. So, and you can download all of Mike's scripts online.
Okay.
The listing presentation is really good.
Let's talk about buyers. How has the environment for buyers changed what you're doing with and as you've grown your business, are you trying to shift away from buyers? What's your view on buyers right now?
I am trying to shift away from buyers. So I'm not working with buyers under a certain price point, under a certain motivation level anymore.
How do you gauge the motivation level?
By pre-qualifying. Yeah. So with buyers and sellers. So if I book a listing presentation with the seller, per se, I have 12 questions I'm going to ask them to pre-qualify them. With a buyer, it's kind of the same way. It's not as scripted, but the buyers that have to sell, have to buy, yeah, I'm going to work with all day. The buyers that, are just looking or under a certain price point, the lower price points are actually harder to work.
It's a bloodbath.
It is. And then when it comes to the inspection, it's so hard. And just, it's a lot. It's hard. It's hard. So,
what's the price point that you're kind of through the line at?
Under 300 now.
Okay. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, under 300. So, now listing, I'll take the listing at, 50,000. If it's an investment property and if, they're going to pay me what it's worth by time.
Yeah.
Because you spend a lot less time with listings. Right. So one of my last listing presentations, I timed it. I went in the house and came out with a listing contract signed, was back in my car in 28 minutes.
Wow.
When's the last time you've worked 28 minutes with a buyer?
Right.
So that's why I really try to focus on listings. So I am shifting away from buyers. Eventually I will pretty much get away from all buyers completely.
Okay.
When I say that, we'll still work buyers, but I'll have a buyer's agent.
Sure.
Even more so than what I have now with my assistant. It'll be just a full-time, nothing but work the buyers.
But in the meantime, while you are working with buyers, and I'm curious, I'm sure other people would be too. What's your process then with buyers right now?
So usually, I try to meet them in the office at first. Have them come into the office. We'll go over everything, sign the buyer's agency agreement, which is obviously mandatory now. And if they don't want to sign it, then they need to find a different realtor.
Were you having them sign it prior?
No,
okay.
not. I had before, but not consistently.
Okay.
Right. But I should have been, and because it's actually, I think how the process works now is, it's one of the best things that's happened, at least in my 9 years of real estate that I know of.
Yeah.
The process is so much more transparent, so much easier. It just works a lot better, and that's funny because everybody was freaking out about it,
right?
And now I think it's a great thing. It's so much better now.
Yeah.
So I have them sign it on my commission and tell them, hey, we're going to ask for that. And there's been several buyers where the seller has countered and they've made up part of that commission, and they're okay with that. I think if working with sellers or buyers, if you show them the value, they'll pay if they see the value.
Are you seeing, when you're working with a buyer, listing agents and sellers, that are, if you're countering that you have a commission agreement at 3% or whatever the number is, and they had originally offered less, are you seeing a lot of pushback on them coming up to what you've
talking about the commission amount?
Yeah.
Sometimes, but that's getting better because homes aren't selling as fast, right?
Yeah, good
point.
I
think if we get back to another COVID situation, that's when it's going to be tricky with buyers, because then a seller's about to say, well, why am I going to pay you X amount when I have 14 other offers who are asking for less? So
yeah, and maybe not in the back half of 2025, but at some point, it seems pretty clear to me that rates will drop to closer to 6, maybe even get into the 5s. If that happens, I'm pretty confident we're going to have a burst of demand and things are going to get a little nutty again.
Yeah.
So it remains to be seen
what
that might look like. I mean, a lot of people are waiting for that. And there's a lot of, how much are you seeing, speaking of which, sellers that have that home where they have a 3% rate and they're just not willing to give it up?
It's tough. And I don't blame them.
Do you have a whole list of people that if rates came down to a certain point, they would possibly be at that point ready to move?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. I don't really focus on that just because I'm generating new business every day.
You are.
So, like I said, if they're not motivated, then I do have a list of, I don't know, probably 1,000 people actually that and that are in my database. They're not my past clients or SOI that I'm calling, but they'll get an email from me or 2 emails from me a month, I think.
Okay.
And I'll get some people that'll reach back out from that list, like, hey, I'm ready to buy now. But as far as, people waiting, I mean, that's what everybody says. Everybody says that.
Right.
Right. So I'm not creating a separate list just for those people. No.
Sure. That makes sense.
That is, I think, the biggest challenge sellers are facing right now, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I mean, it's I don't blame them leaving at 2.5%, 3% interest rate, and now having to be close to 7 is tough. So
it's hard to move and get a nicer home.
Yeah.
Or even the same level of home and not have a higher payment. I mean, it's like you're gonna get a not as nice of a home for a higher payment.
And then it all goes back to the motivation level, right?
Yeah.
So they're the motivated ones that have to. That's what you try to focus on. That have to. The interest rate's not going to affect them.
Right.
Even if the interest rate's 15%, there's still going to be people that have to sell or have to buy.
Any thoughts on the affordability issues that we're facing as it relates to all that, though? There's only so many people.
Oh, it's tough. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I mean, it's the affordability is tough, but there's just so, like you said, I think there's so much pent up demand that rates would have to. I don't know what the answer would be for the prices to come down.
Right.
I don't see prices coming down.
I don't think prices are going to come down, but payments could come down.
Yeah, payments can come down. I always tell people, I said, hey, listen, I know you don't want to move to a 7% payment, but when interest rates come down and all these buyers come out, what do you think that's going to do to the prices? Well, prices are going to go back up again. So would you rather enjoy the equity in your new home, or in the home, or pay higher,
Exactly. You talked a little bit, you touched on inspections, and it's it's possibly the hairiest part of any transaction.
It's my least favorite part. I hate it.
And what do you hate about it?
Everything. Everything. I hate inspections. I think it's important to set the expectations up front. And then again, if you're working with buyers at a lower price point, don't have money, those are the hardest inspections, because if they're at a lower price point, the home's not as good, it needs more work. Those buyers are scared. I always tell people, listen, the inspector's going to come through and he's going to scare the crap out of you. There's going to be 50, 60 things wrong with the home. Okay, I always go over the paragraph in the purchase agreement about defect, what a defect is. It's tough. It's tough. That's something I'm still not great at. I mean, I can negotiate it, but setting expectations is hard. You get buyers that want to ask for everything on the inspection report, and then you get sellers who get offended because an inspector found something wrong with their home.
Right. Well, how do you go about setting expectations differently for buyers and sellers on inspections?
So I think I'm better at it. I'm better at that part with buyers, right? So I'm gonna do that at the buyer consultation in my office. We go over the inspections, the 2 different ways you can do an inspection, whether I call it a regular inspection or an as-is.
Right.
What that means if you're going to do it either way. What a defect is. One thing I always point out, I said, listen, if an AC is old but it's still working, doesn't necessarily make it a defect. Same thing with a furnace. So we because that's what I think is the hardest part. A buyer sees an AC, the inspector says AC is past its expected life expectancy, but it's working like a charm. Well, buyer wants a new AC. Well, it's hard to ask the seller for a new AC that's working.
Yeah.
So just going over that, having that conversation, No, I just did. I just wrote an offer yesterday, and we spent probably 20 minutes talking about inspections and
Okay.
how to maneuver it. And then at the end, I say, listen, we have to cross the inspection when we get there, and we will. We'll walk through it hand in hand, and we do, and we just figure it out. I don't have as scripted, canned process as I do everything else when it comes to inspection, because every inspection is so much different.
Right.
You never know. So
yeah. And with sellers, how do you go about that?
sellers is tough too. I think I definitely tell them the listing presentation. Your inspector is going to find something wrong with their home. He's going to find a lot of stuff wrong with their home. I promise you do. I always use when I bought a new construction home, I hired an inspector and he found 13 things wrong with it. So your home's built in 1970. Okay. I was telling the electrical, unless you've updated it, the electrical, it seems like the code changes every hour. It's probably not up to code. That'll get called out. There's going to be several things they're going to call. Don't worry. Okay. The buyer's not going to ask for everything. If they do, I mean, there's the options. But what they ask for, we have options, and we'll work that. We'll work that when we come to it.
Okay.
And then still they see it and they're like, "What the heck? Why is this inspector saying this is wrong with my house?" And it's tough. It's tough. It's one thing I really need to figure out how to get better at. I would like to get to the point where I'm taking myself out of that process. A lot of top agents are.
Okay.
They have a whole team that just specializes and focuses on negotiating inspections.
Okay. So you caught me totally off guard with the idea that you're moving possibly here soon to Arizona or sometime soon. How much do you feel like you'll be starting over?
A little bit, because I won't have a database.
Right.
And I won't, I was just talking to my coach, Tony Smith, about this yesterday. I said, how many agent referrals do you think you're going to get your first year? I said, well, probably none. He said, no, because everybody has an agent in Arizona. So you'll build that up over time, right? Like you did here. But you can't rely on agent referrals. You don't know anybody, so you can't rely on database. So, but the good thing about Arizona, which is what we're hammering now, working on perfecting the whole process, they're getting 80 expireds a day right now.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it's a really a buyer's market at this point.
Yeah.
But it's different.
If I perfect the process of expireds and listing expireds, I mean, you can list 5, 6 a month, and then keep on doing what else I'm doing. We'll get it going, but that's why I'm going to keep my business here in Indy.
Yeah.
For a couple of years. A lot of my listings from my database, I don't even have to go to the home.
Right.
Like, well, I could be anywhere and do exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So,
are you excited about the process of starting this whole new
I'm not excited about starting over.
Okay.
I'm not excited about starting
I wouldn't be, but
because I mean,
go ahead.
It's going to be tough. You're right. Because I do, get a lot of referrals now, and that's just, like I said, it's going to dry up there. But I'm excited once I get going out there. It'll be great. We love the weather out there. That's one thing
Scottsdale is beautiful.
Yeah, and the heat, like 120 degrees. When we were there like 3 weeks ago. I think they were setting records for the hottest it's been. And I'm out there on the golf course, not even sweating. Well, here it's like 80 degrees. I'm drenched and it's so humid. And winter times, I don't like the cold.
Right.
I don't like the cold at all.
Well, I think you're gonna enjoy it for sure. Scottsdale's a beautiful place. What is the family? So you have 4 kids.
Yeah.
And what are their ages again?
12, 9, 3, and 1.
They know about the idea of moving to Arizona.
Yeah.
What's their level of excitement, or even
12-year-old
might be like, my friends.
The 12-year-old, 9-year-old, they're dead set. They're staying.
Okay.
I don't know how you're gonna stay.
Right.
3-year-old, and obviously the 1-year-old doesn't know what's going on. 3-year-old, he actually likes Arizona. He's asking all the time, "We'll go back to Arizona."
Okay.
Because you can swim pretty much year round out there. He likes swimming, so we'll have to get a house with a pool. The 12-year-old and 9-year-old are not. It's not there. They're not super thrilled about it.
Well, and so you said you're coaching your 9-year-old in baseball.
Yeah.
And what's that? Let's talk a little bit about how you manage that schedule. Because how much time are you putting into? I mean, just to watch your kids' baseball games is a huge time commitment, let alone coaching.
Yeah, it is a lot. So We practice every Monday and Wednesday. Right now, we're taking like 4 to 6 weeks off, which I wish was more.
Yeah, I bet.
But we had the tryouts, so we're not practicing right now. But
Yeah.
when we get back in season, we'll practice every Monday and Wednesday, usually from 5 to 6:30. Getting there at 5 is not easy as either.
No.
But that's the time slot we have because the organization has several teams. So wintertime last year, I don't know what our wintertime schedule would be like. Last year, every Saturday morning, 8 to 9:30, we practiced indoors. And then once we get into spring, we'll practice every Monday and Wednesday. And then we played in 10 tournaments last year. And all of them were in state except for one. We played in Louisville.
Okay.
This year, I think the parents want to go to like Cedar Point tournament one weekend or
Yeah.
maybe Pigeon Forge or something like that.
Well, at 9, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that part is fun.
Yeah.
The kids, you're staying in a hotel, they're swimming, they're running around the hotel, driving people crazy.
Right.
Not us. We're just sitting at the bar, like you guys go driving people crazy. Just don't drown. Anything you do, don't drown. But they loved it. So, but there's several times we played in Columbus. That's an hour and 10-minute drive there, and play 2 games on a Saturday. Usually, you play 2 games on a Saturday. That determines your seating for Sunday, and then Sunday is play until you lose.
So you have a lot of weekends that are tied up.
Yeah, a lot.
How are you managing around that?
That's tough, but it's really tough. But to be honest, I don't work a whole lot of weekends anymore.
Sounds like
I'm starting to work a lot more sellers than buyers.
Right.
Buyers, sometimes you need to show a house on the weekend or whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't do a whole lot of open houses, like I said. So most of my business is Monday through Friday, and then there's times where, most of the time in his age group, he'll play like at 8 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. back to back. So I still have all day Saturday in the afternoon if I need to show a house or I call Nikki.
I mean, a lot of agents would love to shift from buyers to more sellers, even exclusively sellers if at all possible. Most agents never get there. What FSBOs and expireds are something that most agents just won't do.
Yeah.
But would you say you built your business primarily off of calling FSBOs and expires, the seller end of it?
That's how it started.
Yeah.
I don't list as many now, but I'm just now honestly getting back into calling them again every day.
Yeah.
So when I went to that 2-day event when Ron Cronin, which is one of Mike's top coaches and speakers, he was there. He's the best at handling objections and asking questions, and I signed up for coaching. The very next day, I went back and I made my first expired call and listed it.
Wow.
And listed it. And all I did was I had the script, just read it line from line. And all the script, if you look at Mike's scripts, they're all questions. Everything on there is a question. Just ask questions. He gave me an objection. I handled it. Long story short, went over there that night and listed it. It's really that simple. And I had no skill. Like, once you start learning the script and you're around it, you learn the tonality and, upswings, downswings, and just how to, speak it. I was probably just like, when do you plan on moving? I had no idea what I was doing, but the script worked. So,
yeah.
And that was literally the very next day. That was my first expired. So that was kind of a blessing as well. Because a lot of times people will call expireds for, the first 3 weeks and not get anything, especially when you're first starting out. So,
what's the key with expired? So they had an experience that didn't work.
Yeah, a lot of empathy.
Okay.
And then I think the hard part is, well, a lot of expireds blame the market. Market's tough.
Their agent blamed the market. Their previous
exactly
agent
why. Their agent blamed the market. Now the market's tough, but homes are still selling. So I say, did you know that we had over 3,000 homes sell last month?
Right.
Well, I don't know. Why was mine not one of them? Well, I don't know. I haven't seen your house. Let's get together.
Exactly.
So that is one of the biggest objections right now with expires. Oh, just the market sucks. Just, we can't sell it. Because that's, like you said, that's what their agent's telling them.
Yeah.
So, but coming with them with a lot of empathy and, showing them that, not every agent's the same. Who the agent you use matters. And that's the same thing on the buy side too, right? And not every agent's the same.
Zach, something I like to do is talk to everybody about what kind of music they're listening to.
Wow, music. I mean, I listen to a little bit of everything, to be honest with you. Depends on what I'm in the mood for. Sometimes I'm in the car and I'm listening to Bluey or something for my 3-year-old.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Morgan Wallen.
Okay.
Some.
So you're country.
No, not really. I
Okay.
listen to a lot of hip hop and R&B and country, and those are probably my top 3.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I listen to everything. I'm trying to listen to more audiobooks because Mike is big on reading, and that's just one thing I have not made time for.
Right.
My schedule is sitting down and reading a book. So I try to listen to more audio. I record every one of my coaching calls with my coach, so I listen to those.
You'll re-listen to them.
Yeah, well, and I drive so much.
Yeah.
I drive so much, so it's what a better opportunity to listen while you're driving.
I love music, listen to everything. Rock is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
But you said audiobooks. I also am addicted to podcasts.
Yeah.
Do you listen to many podcasts, or is it more?
No, I'm starting to. I'm starting to. It's just something I haven't really in the past, but like I said, I drive so much, I get tired of music.
Yeah.
So I'm actually looking for good suggestions and podcasts and stuff. Now, whenever we do like a road trip, my wife always has a podcast on.
Okay.
And nothing real estate related or business related, but something just to keep us interested.
Yeah.
That's about the only time, but I don't every day, no.
What's the most recent audiobook you listen to?
There's 2 of them. They're by Tim Grover. I think one's Winning and one's called Relentless, I think.
Yeah, Michael Jordan's coach.
Oh yeah, his trainer trained Michael and Dwayne Wade and Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
And those are 2 that I've just listened to that I love.
I haven't listened to read them, but what was the big takeaway?
Well, one of them was right after he released, right after Kobe died. He was good friends with Kobe.
Yeah.
So he talks about being a closer. He talks about he talks about how Michael and Kobe were closers and LeBron is not. You have to get the context of that when you just the mindset, right?
He might. I mean, I could talk about the NBA basketball all day, but I would argue that LeBron's right there with those guys, but he doesn't have the killer mindset that Jordan and Kobe.
And that's what he means by that when he says closer. So if you read the book, you'll listen to it. Kobe and Jordan's mindset was phenomenal, and that's how Mike Ferry is. Mike has the strongest mindset ever.
Okay.
That I've ever been around personally. But Kobe's mindset, and I didn't even really like Kobe growing up. I always grew up, and my favorite player after Jordan was Allen Iverson, and then it was LeBron.
Yeah.
So, when I was growing up, I thought you couldn't like Kobe and LeBron. You had to pick one or the other. Until like his last couple of years, I was a little older and just learned to appreciate greatness. And even now, there's not like a whole lot of athletes that I just don't like. Even like people around here hate Tom Brady. I'm like, dude, Tom Brady's awesome.
I think he's the best.
I love watching him
He's
play.
The GOAT.
I think so too. I love watching him play. Love watching Peyton play. I love just watching anybody who's really good at and has perfected their craft.
Yeah.
I love watching play.
I mean, to get to that level, period, to get to professional sports, period, you have to be in the smallest of percentages, but then to be the best.
Best, yeah.
Take everything that you're doing with the discipline and the structure and the effort and the drive, and multiply times some factor to get to Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, any of these guys.
I know,
it's crazy.
I love it. And those guys, they they work their butts off to get there. Behind the scenes, you don't see that every day. You only see them on the court. You don't see how much they practice and work and
Well, and you're doing that, and Zach, thank you. I'm excited for people to watch this episode. Anybody that's getting into real estate, anybody that is at a point where they feel like maybe it could be someone who's been part-time and is trying to go full-time. It could be someone who's been doing 10 transactions a year and wants to get to 30. I think you've given as much actionable advice and insight as anybody I've had on here. And thank you so much for sitting down with me, Zach.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.